My name is Jonah Hex, and I am a cowboy, and I touch dead people to bring their soul back from the depths of fucking hell, so I can tell them to fuck themselves. And my name's Jonah Hex, and I have a gun, and I'm gonna make you go on the run. And I'm fucking Megan Fox now, and
Yes.
Yeah. Screen Weens.
The Jonah Hex episode.
The Jonah Hex and Hobgoblins episode. Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Screen Weens. Today we're going to be talking about, like I just said, Jonah Hex and the Hobgoblins. Why such weird picks, you may ask? Well, for those that are just joining us, we have a little thing called the bag. And every time we do an episode, there's a chance, well, not every time, but sometimes when we do an episode, there's a chance we have to pull from the bag. And the bag is full of random junk that we thought would be terrible to watch.
Yes.
But look at us, we're still standing, so the movies must have been really good. But as always, before we begin our adventure with those, let's talk about our week, starting with the fact that I broke my fucking foot.
Yeah. Fun.
I broke it at work.
Yeah. Ooh.
So I haven't been able to work. It's been a rough one. Have you broken a bone before?
No, thankfully not. I cracked my chin open when I was a kid.
Me too!
Yeah, I was standing on, I was basically like on some monkey bars on like one of those like shitty little like skateboard bike ramps.
Okay.
And one of my stupid childhood friends that I'm no longer friends with fucking sprayed a hose at me while I was on it, and I slipped and I went BAM right on the point where it like goes down at that angle. So I was like, oh, cool. Oh. So yeah, my chin was split open and I didn't get stitches. I got butterfly bandages. So now it's like there's a gnarly scar there. You can't see it probably because I've got like some stubble over it, but
I think I was in third grade. Either third or fifth. I think it was third.
Yeah, I was around the same age.
I was in the bathroom at school, and it was scary. I was scared because the like lights were flickering, and I was like, "This is kind of scary." And then the like janitor came in, and he scared the fuck out of me. So I was like running out. I'm like, ah! And then I tripped, and I just fell straight on my chin, and I had to get stitches. So
damn.
And that janitor right after, he's like, "You should be careful." I'm like, fuck you! You didn't even ask if I was okay.
I think I also might have a hairline fracture or something on this finger because one time my friend Matt, he shut my hand in a car door. So I was like, oh, well.
When I was a kid, I feel like that happened to me like 4 times. Like,
yeah.
How did that keep happening to me?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I was like hopping in and I didn't really think about it, but I was grabbing like the thing because I'm kind of chubby, so I need balance. So yeah, he just shut it right on my hand. I was like, oh, and I was like, Matt, and he was like, huh, what? And as my fingers like wiggling through the closed door, I'm like, ah. He was like, oh, sorry. I was like, oh.
Come on, Matt.
Yeah, but
yeah, this is the first bone I've broken, and it's just like a random incident. I tripped, and then when I just landed on it wrong, and it broke, and I was pretty fucked.
Yeah,
it's been hurting a lot. I'm like, man, this sucks. It also sucks because like I'm a big guy.
Yeah,
I weigh a lot, and my right leg is I would consider my bad leg. Like so using crutches is just like a no-go for me because every time I use it, I feel like I'm going to break the other foot. So of how much force that goes down. And like, So going up and down those stairs is pretty rough.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
My boss has had like leg injuries and stuff in the past. So she has one of those like knee rover things where you like put your leg on it and it's like a little scooter. So I've been borrowing that. So like once I'm down, I'm fine. But just going up and down is real rough.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm finally seeing because that happened last Wednesday, and I finally have an appointment to go see podiatrist down in Centralia because they're like, oh yeah, we're booked out in Olympia until April 20th. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
But I'm seeing them next Monday.
Okay.
I still have to wait a couple of days.
I think I know where you're going. Is it the one like on the corner there? I don't want to fucking name drop the streets thing, but yeah,
maybe, I don't know. I have the address. I'll show you later.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just feel like I can't do anything. And it's really annoying and not very good for my mental health.
Yeah.
Because I really don't like relying on other people for things. So.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I also just want to be able to work, but every time I work, I'm just like in pain, and it's really annoying because I'm like, I want to be here, but I can't.
Yeah.
Like, this is annoying. But hopefully I'm feeling a little bit better. Last night was really rough. Like, I couldn't sleep. I was in a lot of pain. But hopefully tonight's better. Hopefully I'm all better soon.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It'll probably be like 2 months before it's fully healed.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really annoying.
That's how it goes.
But I've had a lot of time to do things because I've been in pain. I beat Shadow of Mordor. I've been playing through Shadow of War. That game is weird. I want to say it's better. There's the Nemesis system in that game is much more expanded and really interesting. I think the main narrative of the game, not great. And I think some of the structuring of the game, like where you start and like the way they thrust you into things is just not very good. But like the Nemesis stuff, which is what I'm playing the game for, is incredible. So, overall, I'm having a blast playing it. But I'm like, is this good?
Yeah. They made just the two of them.
Just
right?
the two.
Yeah.
The company is supposedly making a Wonder Woman game with that system.
Oh, okay.
Which is an intriguing character to use for that system, but
that's what happens when you own the fucking pet.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm just like, man, they should have done a Knights of the Old Republic game with that. Like an Old Republic era. Because that'd be sick having during the great Jedi Sith Wars, that'd be sick.
Yeah. Well, hopefully fucking that patent expires and they don't get a chance to renew it. Because I think that shit is... I'm not a fan of that gatekeeping.
Yeah, me neither.
It's like, you're holding back gaming.
And then me and Hinate have watched almost all of Ted Lasso. If you've heard of that, no?
It sounds
Jason Sudeikis plays a American football coach who gets hired to teach a...
He has a mustache, right?
Yeah.
I've seen the poster.
He's in Multiverses.
He is?
Yeah, they added Ted Lasso.
What a weird choice.
Yeah. The show's really good. Really good. I'm really enjoying it. It has some rough edges here and there, but character writing is really strong. I'm really enjoying it. Apple TV. Also, since I've been watching that on Apple TV, I've been watching the ads because they just do a 20-second ad for another Apple TV product, and I'm like, all of these look good. Yeah. And I've heard most Apple TV stuff is good. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, fucking, I've heard good things about that Adam Scott show that's on there.
The Severance.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hinate wants to watch that one. I've heard good things too.
Yeah. I don't have Apple TV, but I use Apple TV as my main renting host because I have Apple. So it's like, oh, well. But I've thought about it, but...
Since I have it currently, I might watch... Because I never saw that Tragedy of Macbeth, that was it Joel Cohen that did that one? It was only one of the Cohen brothers.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But Denzel's in there, right? I think he plays Macbeth. Yeah. And I heard that's really good, so... Also, the Tetris movie comes out at the end of the month on Apple TV, where Taron Egerton plays the inventor of Tetris. It's a bit weird. Weird thing. Lots of weird IP, the creation of IP movies coming out this year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's that one? The
Air?
The new Christopher Nolan movie about the patent.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah. About that.
Yeah.
I actually want to go see that. That looks pretty good.
It looks good, yeah. Comes out the same day as Barbie. I'm going to see it. That's going to be a sick double feature.
That will be a sick double feature.
I really like Greta Gerwig as a director quite a bit, so...
I feel like those would be a good pairing of movies to do the Dune trailer for. I wonder if we're going to get that soon.
Yeah. I'm so excited for Dune.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
But I'm also pretty pumped to see what Denis Villeneuve does after that, you know?
Yeah, I hope... I mean, I don't mind if he takes a break.
I know he said he wanted to maybe do
Messiah. Which I think would make sense.
Yeah. But, I don't like people being buried in IP for forever.
Yes. I think he should do Messiah. I think it would make sense. I'm not necessarily saying he has to do it right away. Like, I understand if he wants to break away and do, like, a smaller movie in between or whatever. But I think, he doesn't owe us anything, but I think a lot of audience members will not click with part 2 necessarily. I could see a lot of, like, general audiences who latched on to part 1 not liking part 2. But
part 2 is going to be a lot weirder.
Yeah, but I could see them liking it because it is, like, the trilogy point of that story. So it would make sense to do it like that. But, yeah.
Let's see. I think that's all I watched show-wise. We've been watching Mandalorian. That has 3 episodes out. I think the 4th episode came out today, actually. 1 and 2 are okay. Episode 3, it's barely has the Mandalorian in it. Mm-hmm. It's about, like, a character from, like, season 1. That episode was really good. Because it reminds me more of Andor than anything. So I'm Bad Batch, I'm pretty far behind. I think I'm like 6 episodes behind, but that's been pretty good too. I think that one also started off kind of rocky. I think the first couple episodes of the newest season are fine, but there's some bangers in there. And I think that's all I've watched show-wise. Movie-wise, let's see. Last time we recorded was that day. Boom. I watched Rangastalam, I think it's called. It's a Indian film with Ram Charan, who's one of the guys from RRR. Because I'm like, that guy's hot. I should watch more movies with him. So I watched this one. It's pretty good. It's kind of long. Like, a lot of Indian movies are like 3 hours, which I'm fine with. This one just felt long. I'm like, it didn't really add anything to the experience being this long.
Yeah.
RRR, I'm like, yeah, I'm excited the whole time. And there have been plenty of Indian movies that I'm like, I'm fine with this length. But this one, I'm like,
I feel it.
I watched, like 2 years ago, I watched an animated movie called Iron Man and Hulk, like Heroes United or something like that. And it was really fucking bad. And I knew there was another one that was like a sequel to it, but I never watched. So I watched that, and it was slightly better. It was Iron Man and Captain America, and it was slightly better. Still very bad, though. I rewatched Shazam 1.
Yeah, I saw you and saw...
Yeah, I saw Fury of the Gods, but when I rewatched Shazam 1, I actually liked it more than I did the first time. I think that movie's pretty good.
I only saw it the one time, but at the time, it felt like a tremendous breath of fresh air, because that was before, like, the Batman or anything, so every superhero movie I had seen in the last 10 years had felt exactly the same.
I think the worst part of the first Shazam is probably Zachary Levi. I don't like him in the role. I mostly don't like... I don't know if it's a problem with direction or like he really has an idea of what he wants the character to be, but it just doesn't fit the idea of like a 15-year-old. He's kind of acting like he's like 8 in the movie. I'm like, that's not how old Billy Batson is in this movie. And it's completely separate. Like the way that the two actors act are just completely separate from each other.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of bad in the first one, but it's really bad in the second one. Because now he's 18, and it feels like Zachary Levi, Billy Batson, has regressed even more.
Yeah, I can see why that would be an issue, because it's like... It could be chalked up to, like, direction in the first one, and even the second one, because, like, obviously, like, they're going to try to keep him flow with that first one, but, like... Yeah, if they don't, like, call any sort of, like, attention to it and make it, like, part of his arc, like, let's say, like, because he's got these cool superpowers, he's not needing to feel like he needs to, like, develop as a person or something, that would be, like, an arc they could do with it, but... Which
was, like, interesting, but when he's a regular kid, he is doing that work, you know? So it's like, what? Yeah, and in general, I think the movie's okay. There's some really strong parts to it, and I think David F. Sandberg's a pretty good director. I saw him tweet, and he's like, yeah, so that was Shazam. I'm going to go back to doing horror movies. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
I think that's just a strong suit. I think the best parts of Shazam 1 were kind of like the more horror-inspired scenes.
Yeah, probably.
Or some of my favorite parts. And then I think I said in my new review, I'm like, I think that the closest thing we've gotten to something like the Doc Ock scene from Spider-Man 2, where he's in the hospital, is that boardroom scene in Shazam 1.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nearly as like effective or cool, but I really like that scene still. I think it's a fun scene.
Most of them aren't really reaching out to other genres. It's kind of like that vicious cycle where it's like it only inspires its medium, so then it slowly just decays. It's like the same thing that I have with like anime. Like anime started doing that a lot recently. That's why like the age of isekai was really hard for me to get through, because it felt like they were just, we're gonna subvert these anime tropes, as opposed to like something. My go-to example, One Piece, which takes fucking inspiration from everywhere. So it's like, oh, that keeps it feeling fresh. But
that's why I do think Shazam 1, I don't think is perfect or even necessarily great, but I really enjoy it because it at least feels like its own product.
Yeah.
Shazam 2 mostly does. Skittles play a big part in the plot.
Yeah, I saw you mention that in your review, but I didn't.
It's pretty bad.
I was like, I have no context for that. So interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So like, he goes to buy a bag of Skittles and it's got like a device in it or something.
If you don't care about, if you don't want spoilers for Shazam 2, just skip ahead like a minute. So, little girl Darla, she keeps having, like, Skittles around, and then they're like, monsters appear near the end of the movie. And they're like, the only thing that can stop these monsters are unicorns. And, which is fine. Like, the unicorn stuff is fun enough in there, because it's like a monstrous unicorn thing. And she's like, what does the unicorns love? And they're like, ambrosia, like the nectar of the gods. She's like, I got that right here. And she throws Skittles at it. And then she says, taste the rainbow, motherfuckers, as she impales things with the unicorn.
Motherfuckers?
Yeah. Well, it cuts off. It says motherfuck, and then cuts off. And they say taste the rainbow twice in it. Spoilers are done for Shazam 2. It's really stupid.
Do you think they did that out of, like, just convenience, out of a hardcore love for Skittles? Or do you think that maybe a little company threw some money at the movie?
I would fucking hope they threw money at that, because that's rough. Yeah. That's a rough one. I also think that the last scene of the movie, or I guess like the second to last scene, really robs the movie of like an emotionally like well-developed ending. And it's just like a shitty scene too. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Has a bad cameo in it too. Just in general, kind of frustrating because there's a decent to good product in there. And I think the movie's okay in general, but... Anyway, I also watched the movie called The Incoherence, which is just a random, like, we're old and we're getting the band back together movie that I found on, like... I think it was on, like, Prime or HBO, and I was, like... It was in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep because my foot was hurting, so I'm like, I'm gonna watch this random-ass video. Or movie. It was pretty bad. Yeah, I'm not gonna knock it too much because it looked like it was filmed by like a bunch of friends for like $5, and I'm like, okay, but it was pretty bad. Moving over to the Criterion channel, I watched. They have a early Michelle Yeoh collection, so I watched Yes, Madam, which is like her first starring role.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. If you like action movies, it has a lot of really fun action in it. It has some really bad humor that's just not funny. Like, it's not even like it's creepy. It's just like, this is stupid. And it also doesn't feel like Michelle Yeoh or her partner in it are really characters. Like, they have some really interesting character writing for like these 3 like secondary characters that are kind of the main plot point of the movie. But the actual like police detectives, they're just like there. And Michelle Yeoh's great and the action's great, but I do want to watch the sequel, Royal Warriors, because I've heard that one's better.
You gotta watch her greatest feature yet. It's not a feature.
Police Story 3 Super Cop.
Star Trek Discovery.
I do.
It's bad, but I will say she does play like the best character. So
maybe I'll love Discovery.
Maybe you will. I mean,
don't have great taste in it.
I think that there are nuggets in Discovery that are really good, but I'm not a big... I might be a little gatekeepy in this regard. Oh.
I thought you were going to say, I might be a little gay.
Well, I'm maybe...
Depends on the day.
But, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think... I don't know. It's a big conversation. I don't know if I want to trudge into it, but when it comes to, like, kind of like looking at a franchise that's been, like, running solely on fan support for a long time, and basically going... That's cool. You want to modernize this and make it like everything that like the longtime fans really don't like. And I don't necessarily find that to be a big issue. I think if it's done like with a certain balance and tastefulness, it can be good. But like with Discovery, it feels like they were just kind of trying to lean too hard into the Abrams audience as opposed to like any.
God, I hate those movies.
Yeah, as opposed.
Actually, I like the third one. Well,
yeah, the third
from
one,
what I remember.
Yeah, I remember liking the third one, and I think the first two have like moments throughout where it's decent.
Yeah,
but
I don't think I
fan
hate
service-y.
them. I just don't think they're good. I think the third one feels the most like Star Trek. Maybe not visually, but
Yes,
like
I agree.
emotionally.
I think pretty much everyone is in the same page, except for people who don't watch actual Star Trek, and then they're like, "Well, that one was fucking boring." But
what do you mean they got the dirt bike?
right, it's so good, and they reference the Zindi, which is a terrible arc from Enterprise, but I love Enterprise for some reason.
Somebody was just at the shop like a week ago was just saying like, yeah, I just finished a bunch of Star Trek, and I'm like trudging my way through Enterprise. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
I've got Beth of the Heart.
I gotta, maybe I'll just get through Enterprise and I'll love it.
Because the first season is like a unique brand of bad. Maybe I'll like do not... I'd have to pick like... Cause that one's tricky because I can't do like we did with the first season where I could just like cherry pick episodes because it's like...
Is that a strong like narrative?
I wouldn't say a strong...
But it has it.
But yeah, it's the first Star Trek series outside of like the Deep Space Nine Voyager stuff that was really kind of trying to do like season arcs. And they didn't execute it very well. And there's this thing in the first season called the Temporal Time War. And it's really stupid. Because basically this guy comes from the future and he's like, you're gonna like invent Starfleet, Scott Bakula. And I need you... Basically, I need to like give you intel from the future and you need to like do this. And it ends up like creating like a rift throughout the whole show. So it's like not the true history of Star Trek, but this weird altered time thing, and they just end up dropping that arc eventually. The future guy just doesn't show up anymore and they move on. Like it still echoes from it, but like they just don't really reference the fact that it was like the Temporal Time War a whole lot.
That's good. That's good writing.
But the theme song fucking slaps. I hated it at first, but
now it's
wormed its way into my heart. So
and then let's see. I also watched I'm kind of rounding it. I've seen almost every DC animated movie. Like a fucking weirdo. But I watched Justice League: The New Frontier, which is based on like an old, like not an old, but like
is that the one that's like World War II?
Mini. It's post Korean War. It's like right around that. It's like the late 50s. I think the movie and probably the series. I haven't read the series. I might read it because I think it's either 6 or 12 issues. It excels when it's just recontextualizing the characters in this time period. It's like, this is cool. I like this. But then there's like a big world-ending being called like The Center. Voiced by Keith David. That's pretty cool. But like the main narrative of the movie just isn't very interesting. I think I still enjoyed it because I like most of the animation and I like what they're doing with the characters. I just don't...
Yeah.
And then Richard Ayoade? That guy from like the IT Crowd and like the Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Yeah, he directed that one movie that everybody really likes. I haven't seen.
Double or Submarine?
Submarine is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I've thought about picking some of his stuff, but he with Matt Berry, he did there's a thing from 2004 called ADBC, a rock opera, which is like a half-hour rock opera that is talking about the birth of Jesus, but it's from the perspective of the innkeeper. Matt Berry plays the innkeeper, and he's like, I'm behind on my rent.
This sounds vaguely familiar.
It's pretty good. I really enjoyed it.
When did this come out?
Like early 2000, 2004, maybe?
I wonder if I might have... Because when I was in middle school, I went through a huge fucking, like, Mighty Boosh binge.
Iowade, I think his last name is.
And he's in that.
Yeah, I kind of want to rewatch some of Mighty Boosh, but, like, some of it's really rough.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably is. I'll always cherish a lot of, like, the Tundra rap and the Old Greg, but I'm sure a lot of that humor...
I mean, even think about Old Greg, I'm like...
Old Greg's toe in the line, but... Yeah.
But there are some really funny moments of it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I might rewatch that at some point in my life.
But, it's delightful if you want like a half hour of like pretty good music and just really stupid. It's not like funny, and it's kind of like a lot of the things they're involved in. Some of it's not funny because there's funny jokes. It's just funny because of like how weird and like awkward they make it. I'm like, this is good.
I feel it. That's why I really like Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah. And then I watched Basket Case.
For
the first time.
I'm
Frank
blanking
Cotton Header?
Hettenlotter. Yeah.
That was close.
Yeah, I really liked Basket Case. I have not seen either of its sequels, which I've heard decent things about the second one. I've heard not great things about the third.
And then I remember you didn't like Brain Damage the first time you watched it, but you rewatched it and liked it okay. Right?
I didn't rewatch it, but I watched Basket Case and I really liked that one, so I bought the Blu-ray for Brain Damage thinking like, now that I kind of have a frame of reference for him and his style, I might like Brain Damage more if I want to rewatch it. Because even like when I initially watched it, like that week after we watched it, like I was thinking about it a lot. Yeah. So I was like, well, okay, maybe I was a little just harsh on it the first time around. I wouldn't even say harsh. I was just kind of like, I don't know how. I don't know how I felt about that.
I think Basket Case is really good though. I really enjoyed it. I think like the acting's like horrible.
Yeah,
but I think it adds to it. You know, it's and it feels. You know, I think it was his first feature. And like most of the people that are in it were in like all his movies, and it feels like there's a sense of community when you make it, and I like it. And Belial's kind of cute, and like
who?
That's what it's in the basket. That's his name, which just means devil.
I see. Yeah, no, that movie's so fucking weird. I love it.
You know, it's kind of rough around the edges because it's like a first movie. And
there's that one scene towards the end that I think is a little oof, but
I think
there are a lot of
because I think that scene is like, you know, obviously uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
But I think it ties into like the themes that the movie's presenting really well. But it's just weird because most of the movie before that is pretty comedic.
Yes.
And that one is not. And I'm like, that...
Yeah.
So, like, in a more serious horror film, I don't think it would be out of place, but it just feels strange to be there.
Yeah, I agree. Tonally, it feels out of place, but, like, thematically, it blends in more than, like, let's say the fucking, like, eating out scene from Reanimator, which, bizarre scene, and, you know, I guess I'm glad it exists somewhere in the horror sphere, but it's not one of my favorite scenes.
No, that's fair. And then...
But usually Stuart Gordon tends to have at least one yikesy moment throughout every one of his movies. They just pop up.
What the fuck?
It's like, I really like you, Stuart Gordon. Rest in peace, but...
My boy. I almost watched Dagon the other day. I didn't.
You should at some point.
Because I think it's also on Criterion. Because they added a bunch of 80s horror, but it's leaving at the end of the month.
If it's not, I don't know if it still is, but it was on Tubi for the longest time.
That makes sense. I might watch Brain Damage 2 and 3 sooner rather than later. I do really want to watch Frankenhooker, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be my... Like, if I like it, it might be my favorite from him. Yeah,
I've heard pretty good things about Frankenhooker, but it's always been one of those movies where I'm like... I can't tell based off the audience for this and just the concept alone if I would actually like this movie, but it seems like it might be just out there enough that I would.
And then finally, me and Pierre just finished watching R.I.P.D. Have you seen that movie?
No.
It's really bad. But what's surprising is like the first 20 minutes are kind of good.
Yeah. Aren't they doing...
They did a second one.
They did?
That's why we watched it. I'm like, I should watch the second one.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I don't think it was a Netflix original, but I think it came out on Netflix like day one that it was released. Oh god, the sun's shining in here. Oh dear Lord, oh god. Ooh. That's fine. Nope, there it comes again. It's fine. I think the first 20 minutes or so when it's just kind of world building is kind of stupid, but enjoyable enough. Oh, now it's in your face, Thomas. Jesus Christ.
Oh, crikeys.
Crikey, mate.
Blimey. But, there we go.
We did it.
Yes.
Yeah, but pretty rough. Pretty rough. And then we watched the 2 bag movies. Did you watch anything else this week? Or do anything else?
I got into a car crash.
Did you?
Well, I wasn't at fault. I was at work. I was in a left lane, like, intersection, like, turning left. Some old lady didn't check before she merged into me. So, yep, scraped up the entire side of my car. I was like...
Did she have insurance?
She did, but it's just the door. So, if her insurance people come calling, and I'll get it, but it's like, I don't know. Seems like a lot of effort. Thankfully, my car is seemingly running fine, so it's like, ugh. But I just got it all silver, like not even 6 months ago. Now the entire fucking side of it's not silver anymore, and it's like, ah! And then my laptop broke, and I threw up yesterday.
And you flew up.
So, been on.
You feeling a little better?
Yeah, it was, I've got like digestive issues I've inherited from my mother, so... Sometimes when I get stressed out, I get nauseous. So,
me too.
Yeah. So yeah,
I've been kind of 24/7 nauseous since I broke my foot, just because I'm like worried about everything in my life. Because I'm always kind of worried about everything in my life.
After that bad skating accident I had, like, I guess it would have been like about a year ago now or whatever. Yeah, I remember for 2 weeks I was just like, "Fuck! I hate this. I can't do anything. I want it to be over." And eventually it was, and I was like, "Okay." But I still have fucking scars and shit, so... Got this nasty...
That'll impress the ladies and gentlemen, though.
Yeah.
Oh, that is nasty. What the fuck?
Yeah, it, like, looks like a fucking wart or something, but it's just scar tissue.
Yeah, it just looks like you, like, there's a rock underneath your skin or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That one healed weird. But, yeah, the entire, like... I don't think I showed it. We were doing the podcast for a certain duration while my hand was bandaged up, because... But, yeah, I had, like, the entire fucking, like, palm, like, it was this hand, like, yeah, there's a bunch of shit. My knee still hurts, but, well, I'm sure that'll age like a fine wine, but, anyway. Yeah, so aside from those, because before my fucking laptop died on me, I did buy a bunch of shitty, like, indie horror games on Steam because I was kind of in the mood for it, and then it's in the middle of playing one and it died. I was like, oh. But
do you think it broke your computer?
No. I don't know what happened to it just stopped.
Are you trying to get it repaired, or you're just calling it cool?
Well, it kind of been going for a while. Like, it'd been having performance issues. So what I'm doing, because I don't know what happened to it, so I bought a new charger, hoping that maybe that's it. I had it plugged in when it went out, but maybe the charger was just busted and I didn't know. But, yeah, so hopefully when that shows up, like Monday or so, I'll get it fucking hopefully going again, but to be determined. But, yeah, if not, then when I actually do my taxes, if I get money back, then I guess I'll hunker down and buy another laptop, even though I don't really want to. It's like, I kind of want to buy a PC, but it's like, that'd be a big ask in this current economy.
Sounds like a liberal move.
Right. Well, it's just like, fuck, because I spent like fucking like probably like $900 on my laptop when I got it. Like, I've had it for a good long time, so it's been like probably like 7 years now or so. So it's been a while, but yeah, it's just like
I've had this for a good number of years now.
But yeah, so I might just probably buy another laptop because it seems like getting everything I would need to get a high-end PC right now would be astronomical. And it's like, fuck, I don't want to go through it. But we'll see. We'll play it by ear. But yeah, I did play a game I bought because I was like, fuck, I want to play a shitty independent horror game. Thankfully, there are a couple of them on the PSN store, so I bought this one called Blood Wash.
Blood Wash.
Yeah, it's this really weird game. You basically play this woman who goes to a laundromat in the middle of the night when like an active serial killer known as the Womb Ripper is running around. And it's an incredibly short game to the point where like most of my time playing it was because you can pick up like, there's like comic books you can pick up and a little like gamepad. So there's like supplementary material in the game. So like probably 90% of the time, because I was like, what's this one comic? Because you pick up like 3 issues for these different comics. They're both written by the same guy, but they have like different artists and stuff. But I think the one I read was called Sin Eater, and it had 3 issues, and I ended up reading all of that. And it was actually, it wasn't like phenomenal, but for like a little indie comic in a game, I was like, this is actually like pretty interesting. It's about like a girl who like, kind of like an Attack on Titan-esque society where it's like in a wall, but basically this like early 20s, late teenage kind of girl is going around and she's a sin eater, and basically what she does is like basically like right after people have died, she like goes up to their corpses and like basically like all their like sin manifests into this like demon that comes out of them, and she eats it, and so they can like go to heaven or whatever, but everyone in the town like ostracizes her because she's got like all the evil inside of her, and then it ends up being like she ends up like it's kind of like Bleach, where it's like the fucking
Hollow.
Yeah, it's like the hollow inside Ichiko, where like it kind of takes control of her in situations where she's in trouble, and it's like, I'm gonna possess you entirely soon. And she's like, oh, and yeah, she's out there with like an old homeless man and this weird guy who used to be human, but he's got cursed and transformed into a beast. But it ends on a cliffhanger. It's only 3 issues, and I looked it up, and apparently it was in print, but only ran for 3 issues, so there's no more of it. So I was like, oh, well, that's kind of lame. But yeah, I might get in there, because I almost beat the game, but it glitched out when I shot the main antagonist, and I was just stuck in this crying loop that was very loud for like 8 minutes, and I was like, well, it wasn't actually that long, but it was a long time, because I was like, I have to determine if this is glitching or not, and after a while I was like, this is definitely glitching. So I might replay it and try to beat it and read that other comic that's in there, but we'll see. Yeah, that was pretty much all I did.
Oh, I forgot. There's the Criterion had a flash sale last night. And what I didn't know until a couple months ago is the Criterion channel, if you're subscribed to it, every couple months they'll send you like a $10 gift card.
Oh, really?
It doesn't expire. Oh. So I had like $70.
Nice.
So I bought 3 Criterion stuff for just shipping. Yeah, or just like tax.
Yeah, so. I really like Criterion. Like, they're really based. Like, if you buy their DVDs like straight from their website, which you have to pay a little more when you do that generally. Like, most of my Criterions I buy like when it's like Barnes and Noble doing a sale or something.
Well, Criterion still does like the 50% off, but it's just not as much as when Barnes and Noble does it.
But on their website, if you have like an account established with them, they keep track of like when you buy stuff with them, and it like has a point system, and like every 200 points they're like, yeah, you can like buy like it's like a $20 or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's cool.
But I got 2 movies that I've seen before that I just really like. I didn't even realize there was a Criterion version of it, but The Killing by Kubrick, which is my favorite Kubrick movie.
I've got that one.
And then Y Tu Mama Tambien, which I've only seen the once, but I was like, and I loved it. But I got the Human Condition trilogy.
Oh, nice.
That was like $30, so.
Yeah, fucking.
I'm like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. I need to buy more Criterion eventually.
So.
I've got a decent stock.
I got those on the way. So one of these days I'll probably pick the Human Condition trilogy.
Be down.
Because I've heard those are bangers.
Probably have to be a deep dive because those are each like what?
3 hours, I think. Yeah.
So.
It's fine. Yeah, no, I would do it for a deep dive.
Yeah. Because I also want to watch the Samurai trilogy at some point as well.
Which just the ones that are like Samurai 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, the fucking...
I almost just bought, because they have the whole 25 of the Zatoichi series.
Yeah.
And that's only like $60.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that to go on sale so I could like... That and the Godzilla set and the Agnes Varda set, I've been like...
I almost bought the Zatoichi, but I'm like... What if I don't like these? There's 25.
Well, if you ever bought it...
But they're all on the Criterion channel as well, so I'm like, I'll give them a go.
Yeah, no, one of these days I want to do like a big fucking like Admiral lineup where I watch all those fucking movies that the Admirals are based on. Because obviously like Zatoichi's Fujitora and like all of them are based on like those 50s Japanese like I guess action would be the term stars, but... They kind of pale in comparison to modern action, I guess, depending.
I really want to watch the Zatoichi ones, and then they did like a remake with Takeshi Kitano, I think? Yeah.
Oh,
Takeshi Kitano, he directed a Zatoichi movie in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and I know, I need to watch the Zatoichi movies, because the third entry in the fucking Yojimbo series... Like, Sanjuro has a crossover with Zatoichi.
That's the third one?
In the sense that it's a crossover movie, yes.
And then I also want to watch, I think I don't remember how many, but the Lone Wolf and Cub movies. I've heard those really good, too.
Yeah, I've heard pretty good things about those.
So
I've also heard good things about the manga, but I've only... I used to have some of the smaller ones, but I didn't have, like, all of them. I looked at the art.
We have the Dark Horse, like, little omnibuses now. They're back in print.
Oh, nice. You might think. Well, maybe. I've been trying to cut down on my manga.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, that was our weeks.
Yes.
Let's talk about Hobgoblins. No, we have questions from Pierre.
Yes.
You know, Pierre, you don't get questions today.
He explicitly was like, I sent them in right before he left. So, let's see what they are.
Oh, man. There was somebody that emailed us that wasn't Pierre. I'm like, yo! And is like, does this guy have questions? And no, he's just trying to sell us a podcasting service. I'm like, fuck! God damn you, Alex. Question 1. Who is the most successful villain in comics?
Dr. Doom.
Is he a villain? Just kidding. Yeah, like, he has his island. He has a nation. Like, I guess you could argue that in some iterations, like Lex Luthor, because he's like the president.
Yeah. And I guess some iterations of like Norman. I guess it just kind of depends on like how far you're willing to expand into the what.
I would say consistently, though, it's Doom and Luthor, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, what do you define by success? Because you could argue that the Joker in The Dark Knight Returns is the most successful because he gets Batman to break.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could. Yeah. Megamind? That's not a comic.
Not yet.
Question 2. What is the worst website you have ever visited? Probably LiveLeak.
Yeah, probably like... I've never gone to LiveLeak specifically, but probably like...
I was an edgy teenager.
I mean, I did watch edgy content like that. I just didn't watch it on LiveLeak, but a lot of the shit I did watch was just like random uploads on YouTube.
Yeah.
But probably like Pornhub or something. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Thomas is anti-porn. He's a champion.
Yeah.
He's your white knight. Question 3. If you had to make a movie about a tragic event, what event would you choose? I'd make a... Sorry. I'd make a movie about 9/11 that's narrative repeats every 20 minutes and just kind of ends after about 2 hours. Well, that is a reference to World Trade Center.
Oh. Is that the Robert Pattinson one?
No,
that's Remember Me.
Remember Me, yeah. I think it's World Trade. Is that what it was?
Is World Trade Center the one with Nick Cage?
Yeah. It literally, like, just kind of... I don't know. They're moseying around. They're stuck under rubble, and they keep, like, having flashbacks, and then they just kind of go back to the same thing. That movie's fucking bad.
Yeah.
If I were to do a movie about a tragic event, I don't know.
I'd probably like
Pompeii.
Yeah, Pompeii would be.
They had a Pompeii movie. I think Paul W.S. Anderson made it.
Yeah, maybe. I remember it came out like circa like 2015-ish. Maybe.
But you want to like... Yeah, it was. In 2014, you were wrong.
Oh, shit.
I think you want to, like, capitalize on the idea that, like, this is a big disaster, but you want it to be far enough removed that, like, it isn't depressing to watch for people, I guess. I guess if I were to do it. There are movies that have been made, like, I think The Impossible's really good. It's about, like, the tidal wave. Like, there are movies that I think are good that are just about horrible events that have happened. But, like, Pompeii, it's like, yeah, it's sad to think, oh, those people died, but that was, like, 1 billion years ago.
Yeah. No, I feel it. I'd probably, like, make a movie about, like... Probably, like... I find the idea of living as a normal person in, like, any point in ancient history as extremely scary and depressing. So maybe, like, a movie about, like Helots or something, which were like Greek slaves or something like that. Like, I don't know, something. Some point in history that's pretty fucked up that doesn't get a lot of
Caligula
shine.
2.
Caligula, good old Little Boots.
That movie's not very good.
No, but neither was Caligula. So I mean, I think it works
his
out.
horse
and his little boots.
His little boots.
I will never get over the fact that we historically remember a man as Little Boots. That because Caligula is not his name. Caligula means Little Boots because he was like, he might. I don't know if he was like a legit child soldier or if he was just on like hanging around like soldier training camps when he was a kid. But yeah, that's what they call him, and that's how history remembers him. Damn it,
Little Boots, Little Boots.
Yeah. Well, that's worse.
Just
he could be...
history will remember Donald Trump as tiny hands.
Maybe. Just like... fuck. Who is the fucking Caesar who was after Caligula? Because he was like... Nero. He was awful. He was the guy who like supposedly set fire to Rome.
Yeah. Yeah. Classic stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out other... You know, what if we did, like, an animated movie where, like, Ray Romano played, like, a mammoth during the Ice Age?
Only if we can get John Leguizamo to play a sloth.
I'm in.
Yes.
We got a really fucked up looking baby.
Yeah, there you go. And is it...
I can't...
Is it Antonio Banderas or Orlando Bloom? I can't...
That plays Diego?
Yeah.
It's neither. It's Dennis Leary.
It's not Dennis Leary.
It is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the... Okay, weird. I don't know why I thought it was Orlando Bloom or...
Antonio Banderas plays a cat.
I mean, he does play Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Little Boots.
yes, the Little Boots. But, yeah, fucking, what's it called? Dennis... Get Dennis Leary the fuck out of my kids' movies. What the fuck is that guy doing?
Yeah, that guy's supposed to play Gwen Stacy's dad.
He an asshole.
He looks like it.
He has that whole song where he's like, I'm an asshole. And apparently he stole that from Louis C.K. or something. So, yeah, seems like a nice
That's
guy.
kind of, stealing, kind of shitty. Stealing from Louis C.K. I'm not gonna...
It's one of those things where it's like, this isn't... It's like, shooting a bad person in the head without, like, a trial. It's like, yeah, that's bad.
But if Ghost Rider did it, it'd be fine.
Yeah. But...
Because he's the spirit of vengeance.
Well, yes. Speaking of Ghost Rider, did we finish the questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of Ghost Rider, let's talk about Hobgoblins.
Okay.
I love this movie.
Did you really?
No, I thought it was atrocious. But...
I didn't think it was as bad as I was anticipating. But...
I think it's mostly just really boring.
Yes.
And then there's really funny moments.
Here and there.
Here and there. Like...
I think the only moment that legit made me laugh was the ending. Because that was the one that actually got, like, a vocal laugh out of me.
When they first have sex in the van... And you hear the audible
boink,
just
boink,
like boing, boing, it got a chuckle from me. I'm like, that's really stupid.
Yeah, I maybe if the movie that type of humor kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like when I first started Terrorvision, it was kind of a similar sense of humor, and it took me a while to warm up to that movie throughout its runtime, but it wasn't consistent enough in this to where I found it charming.
Terrorvision, it has at least a
yes,
it's consistent in its humor. This is it doesn't really know what it wants to be.
It wants to be a Gremlins ripoff, but to the point where like they didn't even try with the designs to hide it. They were just like.
I'm like, oh, these guys look kind of cute. I wonder why.
Yeah,
they are. Wow, they don't even puppeteer them either. It's just it's just like a thing standing.
Yeah, it's
like
it's the 80s equivalent of like Critters, a new binge. It
reminded me a lot of like Jack Frost as well, and like they don't give a shit about moving this thing.
Yeah.
So Hobgoblins, they came from space, they landed in a little ship, and then an old security guard's like, you can live here on the studio lot. Mm-hmm. But then they started like making people so horny they blew up, pretty much. They would give them their greatest desires, but then it seemed like most of these people's greatest desires were either to kill someone
or to have sex. Well, there's that one guy at the beginning who wanted to be like a celebrity. Ooh. He did that little like fucking, I don't know, he was trying to do like a David Burns thing up there.
Well, yeah. He was doing something.
Yeah, but...
Speaking of David Byrne, they're bringing back Stop Making Sense into theaters.
Is that
the concert film? Yeah.
Nice.
They're going to do it for its... I don't know. Is it 40th? I don't even know. I think it's past 40. I think they're just doing it.
It's fair.
I'm pretty pumped. I am excited to see that in theaters, if it's around anywhere. But yeah, Hobgoblins, they get loose, and then a ragtag group of misfits have to fight them off. But really, they just kind of talk for an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's like 20 minutes scattered throughout of like, oh, there's a Hobgoblin sequence.
Yeah.
But mostly it's like they'll pan over to the Hobgoblin, and then they'll pan to like this dream sequence. It's like, I feel like the Hobgoblins are on screen for like 4 minutes in the movie.
I think that's a little generous.
Yeah.
It's like
4 seconds at a time.
Yeah, they aren't on screen for very long, mainly because they look like shit.
And they know that.
Yes.
I'm really curious about Hobgoblins too. I almost watched it.
Yeah, I didn't, but I don't fault you for almost watching. We'll put it in the bag or something.
I might just watch it tonight.
There you go. Fucking, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. So I guess the main crux of any sort of character in the movie is we follow this kid named Billy?
Gorp? Maybe? Jimmy?
Know. I only remember the girlfriend's name because he kept going, Amy, and it made me think of fucking Fright Night because Charlie does that throughout the duration of that movie.
Yeah, but Charlie's like kind of fun to watch.
Well, yeah, I like Charlie. Charlie, don't get me wrong.
Kevin.
Charlie's kind of a creep, I will admit that, but...
Kevin or Kyle?
He's well-intended. Kevin or Kyle?
There's two...
They gave these bland ass characters.
Because Nick is the one that is like
the military guy?
Military man.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Kevin's the main character, and Kyle's like the guy that's like, "Can I borrow your phone?" And then he calls us
the sex hotline.
That kind of made me laugh too.
It was
just like maybe not laugh. I'm giving this movie too much credit. I never laughed. But when I say that, I was kind of like, I was like, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that was the one part probably through the middle of the movie where I was like, okay, maybe made me blow some air out of my nose a little bit or something, but yeah, for just the most, because Coogie? What was that other name you said?
Kevin is the main character.
Kevin.
Coogie? Gorp?
Yeah, Kevin, so he's basically, he's just like your fucking, like, straight edge fucking, my girlfriend doesn't like kinky sex. Hey, what are you doing here? Like, kind of shit. Like, he's just a total fucking Melvin. And his girlfriend doesn't like him. The second Nick comes back, he challenges Kevin to a fight.
She's like, yeah, you should fight him. He's like, I don't want to.
Yeah, and
she's a bitch.
Yeah, I don't like Amy.
She's really mean.
After that one scene, I was like, you know what? I would have broken up with her. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck is this? Maybe not. It depends on how much mileage there was before that. But it's like, don't treat me like that. What the fuck? But yeah, fucking... Yeah, so basically... I guess that's like the main hook of the arc, is that Amy has a wild side that she wants to unleash a little bit, and that results in probably like... Aside from the Hobgoblins, the main conflict that keeps them hooked into it. Because it's like, okay, this guy's working for the movie lot as a guard, and the Hobgoblins get out, and his superior is basically like, oh, you gotta go get the Hobgoblins.
They're gonna make everyone come until they explode.
And get this, they're attracted to light. It's the complete opposite of that other thing that we're not gonna mention by name. Not goblins, but...
It really just feels... It's interesting to watch this movie because it really just feels like they just kind of pressed record.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just going to make shit up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun in that sense, in a way that you can watch a movie and be like, wow, people can really just make anything. But like, as a product...
Yeah, and sadly, for the time it was made, like, yes, it's very low budget, but it still had to have had a budget.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck? What were they doing back then? I mean, I'm glad that movies like this got budgeted, because nowadays you'd have to like fund something like this.
You'd have to like call up Shudder and they'd be like, absolutely. And then they just delete it after a couple of months.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, forget about that. I mean,
there's plenty of low budget horror that still comes out that's not funded by stuff. It's just you just have to call it Full Moon.
Yes.
Or Asylum. Speaking of Asylum, real quick, there's a new Butch Cassidy movie, like a new Western from Asylum, and Jeffrey Combs is in it. Oh. And it's on Tubi, and I might watch it.
Huh. That sounds kind of interesting. Have you seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
No, but it'd be really funny if I watched Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch instead.
I mean, it would be, but you should watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid at some point in your life.
Cool double feature.
Yeah, it's really good. But
this book, they talk about that movie. This guy, he kind of writes like a dickhead, though. I'm gonna be honest. Thomas C. Foster, he writes to his audience like they are children, and it's kind of really annoying. I'm trying to read this because I think there's some interesting things to be like parsed from it, but
yeah,
I don't like giving up on books, but I'm just like, ugh.
I feel, especially when it's a book, but also I gotta understand the point of view where it's like, I don't want to just be talking about this shit and for no one to know what the fuck I'm referencing. So it's definitely a delicate balance, but yeah, I haven't read it, so I can't comment. But fucking Hobgoblins. I don't know what else to say about this movie.
Yeah,
it's bad. There's not much to say about it.
And then they try to like make it sexy, but it's not very sexy.
No, it's like 80s movies are god awful at being sexy. It's like,
I mean, I feel like the 80s, there are some higher budget, like 80s movies that I'm like, these are sexy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not
the
saying
last decade of
completely
real sexy movies.
But more often than not, 80s sex appeal just does not translate, at least not to me. So it's just like, I don't find a lot of this sexy. Usually it's like, I don't know. It's all samey. It all feels the same. It's like everyone had the one type back then. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But
like, where are the big ladies?
Right? No, it's
where
always...
are the not white people?
Yeah, it's always some, like, white girl with, like, curly blonde hair or something. It's just like, That or the pretty girl next door who's got brunette hair and...
Yeah, but does she have a gun?
That's a good question.
She had a gun. I'd be interested.
Yes.
Yeah, Hobgoblins, I don't think is, like, the worst thing we've watched for the bag. Because there are moments I kind of chuckled or I went, that's dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was ever like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Which occasionally happens with bag episodes, but...
Yeah, I watched it while I did prep at work, so...
it's kind of a movie that you just... It's very hard to focus on, because nothing really happens in it.
Yeah.
And it's not one of the movies like, oh, but it's about the vibe. There's no vibe.
No.
There's
no vibe.
There's no vibes. There's no ambiance. It's just a bunch of people fucking around on a studio lot for a while. And then, hey, here's a puppet. No one knows how to puppeteer, though. Don't worry about it.
I did like his, So, the way they end the movie is basically like, they eventually get all the hobgoblins back, and then it seems like, oh no, they're gonna escape again, but they just go straight back into the vault. So, like, the original worker who worked there goes up and, like, shuts him in, and it's like, but he quit his job earlier that night. Who's gonna watch him? And Corgi is like, I'll watch him, and he's like, no, don't throw your life away like I did mine. So, like, they both go up and kind of, like, lock it up, and they come back down, and he's like, so what are you gonna do with the hobgoblins? He's like, did I tell you what I did in the military? Just clicks a button and the fucking building explodes, and it's like...
And he calls the guy, hey, building exploded. And he's like, what? What?
Who was on duty? No one. I quit, remember? And then he hangs up, and then that guy comes up and he's like, hey, can I use your phone? So that was probably the best part. That, or it's... I found it very humorous that, like, Nick had just died, and he's like, I got you these flowers. And she was like, for me, and it seemed like she was like about to like honestly date the one guy, but then Nick showed up. She just fucking throws the flowers back at him.
I do think that's a
immediate van boinking.
Yep. Boink, boink.
You know, despite the fact that he had like a giant chunk of like missing flesh on him.
It's fine. It's hot.
I'm not into that stuff.
People love scars. What about just like missing craters of skin?
Yeah, I mean, people are, like, after watching the Hellraiser movies, people are into that, but I am not, so.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's not into that. Everybody point and laugh.
I'm not into dead flesh, I'm sorry.
I'd probably give this movie a 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it anything. I don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. But you know what you should watch? Not really. Let's talk about Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex.
So,
I'm just going to say it. I liked Jonah Hex.
Did you like it? I
liked it enough. Like, I thought it was fun. Enough. It had its issues, clearly. Like, obviously.
It feels like it's a broken film.
Yeah, a lot of movies from this era were, especially with the editing. But
the narrative is complete. It's just a mess. It's not
Yes, I agree.
I think the movie's pretty bad. I think there is fun to be had, and it's so short that it's kind of hard to be mad at the movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much
but
how I feel.
It's kind of a terrible film.
I mean, yes, objectively.
But think about it, I'm like, why did they do... Why? Because the guys who wrote and directed Crank and then directed Ghost Rider 2 wrote this. I'm like, why didn't they just have them write and direct one movie instead of breaking them apart? Because I think, honestly, that's the issue with both Ghost Rider 2 and this, is that the script doesn't capture their, like, like kinetic energy that they direct with in Ghost Rider 2. And in this, the direction just does not keep pace with what they want, like, to be this, like, zany, like, cowboy western psycho supernatural thriller mystery dance party.
Yeah, fucking
I haven't seen Crank. I think I've only seen Gamer from them.
I have not seen Crank, but I have seen Crank
2 High Voltage. I have seen, however, my brother had Crank and Crank 2 on DVD, and I have seen enough of it
Yeah.
to understand that I'd probably enjoy the movies. At least enough.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably more than this.
I didn't like it when I saw it because I was so, like... I'm not a big fan of Jason Statham. Even 2 today, but I think those movies are high enough concept I could maybe get past them for that series, but... I don't know. Yeah, I thought this movie, like, it had a lot of problems, but I don't know. I thought it was, like, maybe I'm just a sucker for fucking revenge cowboy stories.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think what it is like...
And John Malkovich.
I think, so I was reading a bunch of stuff being like, people really didn't like John Malkovich in this. But I think the thing that works for me in both this and the Aragon movie is that John Malkovich is like this big, like, kind of stage performance where he does kind of play the same character, but it fits so well in, like, a comic book, like, movie.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter that he doesn't feel like a Confederacy soldier. He feels like a supervillain. That's good.
I'm sorry, if you're watching the Jonah Hex movie for Confederacy accuracy, just go fuck yourself. Like, what are you doing?
I think John Malkovich in Aragon is great too. I think he's great as Galvatore.
I think he's easily the best part of that.
Yeah, and I think he's great as this character. I really like the opening of this movie. I think that opening's pretty great. Like just like the standoff where he's like, I'm gonna do this to your family. You're gonna watch what happened to my son.
Yeah, I thought from a writing perspective it was pretty decent. I thought it might have been more so the way it was edited than it was shot, but like something in that equation was not working for me when I was watching it because I was like, this is very...
You're saying the guy that directed Freebirds and Horton Hears a Who couldn't accurately direct a live-action adaptation of Jonah Hex?
I'm going to go a step farther and I'm going to say he couldn't do an animated adaptation of any Dr. Seuss book either.
I'm gonna have to be a proponent for a Horton Hears a Who here because I think that movie rules. Maybe not rules, but I think that movie's fun.
When it first came out in theaters, and I thought it was lame, but I was also
easily the best animated Dr. Seuss adaptation. Wait, what else is there?
I mean, there's
Lorax sucks.
The Grinch.
Grinch sucks. Well, the original '60s animated one is good, but it's like 20 minutes long. The Illumination one, it blows.
Oh,
it fucking sucks. I'm not excited for the Mario movie.
No, it's gonna be.
I have friends that are excited. I'm like, it looks terrible.
Yeah, it looks.
I think and as we get more and more like trailers, I'm like, no, I think all the voice acting's ass, including Jack Black.
I mean, I haven't watched like all the trailers. I think
maybe it's just because they keep playing everywhere I go. I'm like, oh,
maybe. I think I've got so many issues with that in concept, but also it's like, are you guys like trying not to have a marketing masterpiece here? Because you guys are putting all your eggs in one basket. There's a Smash.
Yeah, they're doing everything.
Mario Kart.
Like, this movie's like an hour and 30 minutes. Like, it's not very long. Yeah, what are you doing? Well, actually, let me check the runtime.
I mean, I could understand because Nintendo is a little protective with their IP sometimes, so maybe they're just afraid they won't get a chance. So they have to make the penultimate Mario movie, and by doing so...
An hour and 32 minutes.
I genuinely find that surprising. We live in the fucking 2-hour movie era.
I mean, animated movies are still...
Oh, are they?
I would say an hour and a half to an hour and like 45 usually.
I guess.
But it's just... Also, I keep seeing people be like, it's gonna be good because Shigeru Miyamoto is... he's being really... Like, he's producing it, but he's also, like, really in there and making sure they're doing it right. And I'm like,
That's
Why?
cool.
He's never made a movie. Why would that make it good?
Ichiro Oda's gonna be like somewhat involved with the live action One Piece, and guess what? That could potentially
Probably is going to be bad. As much as I'm excited for it,
yes,
probably will be bad.
it's got a 99 probability of sucking.
You know,
so.
I would love to enjoy it.
I probably
I'll
will
probably enjoy it. I would love for it to be good.
Yes.
But
Luffy's wearing fucking shoes. Shoes.
Are they Yeezys at least?
No, they look like Usopp shoes. Like they're that weird fucking.
Well, maybe that's how he's gonna befriend Usopp. He's gonna be like, "You don't have any shoes, and I'm your friend now."
I get it. It's not practical to shoot action scenes in flip flops, but I mean, come on. They're iconic.
Yeah, they are. Anyway, we were talking about Jonah Hex.
Yes.
I don't know how the fuck we got on that.
I do.
We were talking about Dr. Seuss, and then we were talking about the Lorax, then we were talking about the Grinch, and then we were talking about the Illumination.
See, Pierre says his favorite part is the part where we're not talking about the movies, but if you...
That's most of the podcast.
Yeah,
we're
half the time we branch off in
and we're like, what were we even talking? Where are we?
What movie were we talking
about? And then we look outside, we're like, wait, space? Zathura?
Damn, I wanted Jumanji!
Fuck!
I don't. I never saw the sequels, but I didn't like the original Jumanji, and I don't. I
actually quite enjoy the sequels.
At
least the first one, I think, is pretty solid. I think the second one's okay.
I'm sure...
I think the first Jumanji is ass. I think it's a bad movie.
I'm sure as far as, like... I'm glad most people like it, but it just seems like... With the exception of the fact that Jack Black and Amelia Pont... Karen Gillian are in it. It just seems like the antithesis of like everything I hate about modern blockbusters. I'm not a big fan of The Rock or Kevin Hart. Their performances are very...
I think they're at least doing something in this because they're, they have to play different characters.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it one day and I'll eat my words.
I think Zathura kind of rules, though. At least when I last watched it, which was...
When I was a kid...
11 years ago?
I tried to watch Zathura
probably the fuck out
45 times, and I could never get through it, so...
Oh, you just thought it was boring or didn't like it?
I don't remember if I thought it was boring or... My DVD copy might have been broken.
Is it because the girl wanted to have sex with her brother?
I don't fucking know. I don't remember. But... Yeah, I just remember... The only part I remember is the part where she comes out, she's ice cold. Or frozen.
Classic.
And the robot.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Jonah Hex, though. How the fuck did we get on that? Oh yeah, I randomly brought up Zathura.
We brought up how we got off tangent. But, so, Jonah Hex.
John
Malkovich's voice.
John Malkovich is great.
Yeah. I love his voice. His voice is just so sexy.
I see interviews with him and he's like, "No, I'm not a good actor."
Shut up.
No, you are. But he has that one kind of voice, but it works. Mm-hmm. And it works for these big kind of omnipresent villains kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't like Michael Fassbender in this movie. Mostly because it's a really weird he's Scottish playing an Irishman with Maori tattoos
Yeah, it felt like a really weird blend, but I don't know. Yeah, it was certainly interesting.
Yeah, he has facial moco on his face, and I'm like, what's happening? And the thing is, the script doesn't allow any of the secondary characters to do anything.
No,
so it's just kind of is that Michael Fassbender? And it's is that Will Arnett? And it's next scene is oh, he exploded. Never mind.
Yeah, I thought...
What is happening? It really feels like there's a lot missing to this movie.
Yeah, when the movie initially was setting up, I thought Will Arnett was going to do a buddy cop thing with him.
And then he writes a letter. He's like, "I'm following them. It's the end of the movie now." I'm like, what?
Basically, what happened is they got to the one location and Jonah Hex was like, "Why don't you go talk to that corpse?" And they're like, "Okay," and they go over there and they turn around and he's gone, and they're just like, "Shit."
He's Batmaning away. Yeah. It's really weird because in general, I feel like this movie has 3 scenes in it. It really feels like only 3 things happen in the movie. It feels like there's this big opening segment, and then he goes to one place,
I mean, more.
And then
or
he
less.
goes to one other place, and then they're at the final confrontation.
So, okay, I don't think we've explained the basic plot. So basically, Jonah Hex.
He's a cowboy.
He used to be.
He's a half-dead cowboy.
Yeah, he used to be part of this, Confederacy with John Malkovich and his son, whose name is Jeb.
Who's played by Jeffrey Morgan.
Yeah.
Which is Dean Jeffrey Morgan, sorry.
Yeah.
This cast is really... There's a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah, there are.
Nobody does anything.
No, they don't. But yeah, so basically, like, fucking Jonah Hex betrayed his team, and when he did so, his best friend, John Malkovich's son, Jeb, drew his gun, so Jonah Hex had no choice but to kill him. And then, in retaliation, John Malkovich's character decides to kill off Jonah Hex's whole family and then brand, like, his jaw. And basically then Jonah Hex then, like, kind of wanders out alive and, like, basically burns off more of his mouth so he doesn't have, like, just this brand related to that guy. So it's uglier, but... yeah.
I also really like what Josh Brolin's doing in this movie. It's not a lot. It's kind of dumb to watch, too.
Yeah.
He's, like, really hamming it up, but also kind of sleeping through it. It's really funny.
Yeah. Also,
it's engaging. It's entertaining.
Is there any, like, current actors who have been, like, a big named fucking comic book character for, like, 3 properties like he has? He's Cable, he's Thanos, and he was Jonah Hex. I know Chris Evans was fucking...
Ryan Reynolds was Deadpool and Green Lantern. And
I can think of examples where it's people as 2, but not 3. So it's like... Because obviously Chris Evans was the Human Torch and Captain America.
Ryan Reynolds plays that guy in Blade Trinity.
Okay, a big named characters. Because it's like... Because Thanos is a big character. Fucking Cable's a big character. Well, Cable isn't a big character, but he's a big enough character.
Let's see. Yeah, because there's a lot that have done 2.
Yeah. I think Josh... I mean, he double dipped into the DC before he was in Marvel, but... Do you think he'll come back and do a DC movie now and make it 4?
Nick Cage was gonna be Superman. Does that count? Because he's also Spider-Man Noir and he's also Ghost Rider. So. He voices Superman in Teen Titans Go, the movies.
That is true.
I don't think that really counts. He's also in Kick-Ass, but that's not...
Yeah, I would probably delegate it to live-action roles, but if you're getting into specifics, yes, I would probably... I guess in the realm of having played, I would loosely count Nick Cage. So Nick Cage needs to step up his game and just make it a total of 5 and do 2 more live-action roles. And the fucking... whatever. 1 for Marvel, 1 for DC. They can bring him back as Ghost Rider again. But he can be the old Ghost Rider, so it counts as a different character.
Oscar Isaac. He does Spider-Man 2099, he does Apocalypse, and he does Moon Knight.
I forgot he was involved.
Yeah, that movie sucks.
It does. That movie was awful. Yeah. I also forgot he was Spider-Man 2099 because he's in the fucking Spider-Verse for like 2 seconds. But I imagine he's probably going to be
like
in the scene.
I think he's the main antagonist. I don't know how they're setting it up, but like most of what they're setting up, he's like chasing, and he's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "What's happening?"
I wonder if it's like a misunderstanding kind of a thing, but yeah, I'm interested. I'll watch Spider-Verse 2 when it comes out. I saw the one initial teaser trailer.
Would you describe Apollo Creed, or sorry, not Adonis Creed? Would you describe him as a superhero?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, sadly not. Maybe when Michael B. Jordan comes back as Superman. Which isn't confirmed, but that was
I got one
mill for a long time.
We're just not going to talk about Jonah Hex. Michael Keaton, Batman, Vulture, Birdman.
Birdman does not count, you know it. As much as I wish it did.
What?
I know. Michael Keaton needs to perfect his bird or winged man superhero trilogy by coming back and voicing Howard the Duck.
That's true.
Yes. I think
make it pretty good. It's probably Josh Brolin and then Oscar Isaac.
Yeah. Nick Cage, if you want to count him.
Idris Elba does Heimdall, and he does Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad. And I feel like he does something else.
I think he's in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh, that's right. He plays like the monk or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's a real Ghost Rider. I'm not super familiar with Ghost Rider characters. If he's a big Ghost Rider character, sure.
I don't fucking know. I haven't read Ghost.
I've seen the Sleepwalker issue with Ghost Rider in it.
I've read
a pretty good issue.
I read that, and I've read a little bit of Robbie Reyes. Is that the name of? I've read a little bit of that initial start of his run, but
Jonah Hex starring Josh Brolin.
Yeah. So basically, Jonah Hex is now. He basically, after his family is killed and stuff, he hears through the rumor mill that John Malkovich died in a hotel fire. So he's
like, now I'm a man with a lot of vengeance and nowhere to take it. And he kind of talks like that, though.
Pretty much.
And that's why I like it. Yeah. I'm Josh Brolin. But he also, he's just doing this with his teeth because he has part of his face is falling off. So he's like, howdy, partner.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of tic-tac-toe? You're about to be the toe. And then he throws the guy's toe at him or something.
Something like that. But, so basically he becomes like a bounty hunter, but then basically a corrupt sheriff tries to kill him. So he, murders an entire town's police force, and then he becomes a wanted man. But then the U.S. government catches wind that John Malkovich is back, and they're like, there's only one man who can save us from him. And that's Jonah Hex. So they fucking send the government after him to get him to work for him. And it's very Red Dead Redemption, in that kind of sense. I was getting a lot of Red Dead Redemption echoes. I was like, it's got some similarities there.
Thomas he loves Red Dead Redemption.
I love it so much.
With Walter White and his cowboy hat, or whatever his name is.
And
Jack Arthur Morgan. Morgan something. Was I close?
Well, it's actually Walter White, and in the first game you play as Jesse Pinkman. But
Arthur Morgan?
It's Arthur Morgan, and then John Marston's for the first one. But he's in the second one because it's a prequel to the first one. But yeah, great games, great narrative.
I haven't played them. I'll play them eventually.
I feel like you'd like the story. I feel like you would not like the gameplay, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
There's plenty of gunplay that I don't like in games. Like Spec Ops: The Line, I think, is one of the best narrative stories in a video game. And I think the gunplay is pretty average, but I'm fine with that. Because I think it's a good delivery vehicle for the story.
As much as I kind of hate to say it, if The Last of Us was a sign of what's to come for, TV series video game adaptations, I think, Red Dead would probably be, another prime candidate for, pretty much sticking close to what the game story is for the most part. It seems like The Last of Us had a couple deviations, but anyway, back to Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex. It's not good, but I was surprised. I'm like, this is perfectly watchable.
It's fun.
It's just because it's so short. It's kind of sad to watch because I'm like, there's some things. They got some ideas here.
Yeah, I would love to see. The thing is, I haven't read any Jonah Hex. I watched that one short forever ago.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. It was okay.
I remember thinking it was pretty decent.
Oh, good.
But it's been a long time. I might be getting it mixed up with a different one too. But I remember thinking it was. It sold me on the.
I was looking it up. I'm like, I should watch this, and then I started watching. I'm like, wait, I've seen this. I watched it 2 years ago.
Yeah. Fucking what's it called? I think. I don't know. Jonah Hex strikes me as the kind of superhero that's this could be cool for a maximum of 3 stories. But like,
Yeah, it seems like he's probably best in small runs.
Yeah, I don't imagine that if I read like the bulk of Jonah Hex, unless it's just comprised of a bunch of small runs, I don't imagine I would probably, like, if I had to read like 500 back issues of Jonah Hex, I don't think I could, because I'm sure a lot of it's just kind of generic.
Honestly, I don't think most comic books can last that long.
No, that's obviously for like Spider-Man, tier fucking...
Honestly, I don't know if Spider-Man can last that long.
Spider-Man's had well...
Well, no, I'm saying, like, I don't think he should have. If we're being honest, I think there's...
I think...
At least, as you know, because it's consistently been going on. There's so much... Like, you can take breaks from big characters, guys.
I agree. I think it's a case by case. But obviously, in the case of Spider-Man, it would have probably worked out for the better had he taken breaks. But I think it's, like, impossible that it could have gone on that long. Because, I mean, like... Yeah. But, obviously, yeah. Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex.
John Malkovich
we really don't want to talk about Jonah
Apparently
Hex.
not. Jonah Hex has... Not Jonah Hex. John Malkovich has the Dragon Balls.
Yeah, and he shoots them out of cannons, and they do, like, little nukes.
Yeah, basically, he sends out a bunch of normal cannonballs, and then he sends out the one, like, super fucking...
cannonball that blows up the town. He's just... I think what's also engaging about this is he's just evil.
Yeah.
And that kind of works for this. He's, like, there's nothing... He's just evil.
Yeah, he's
just like, I'm going to massacre people for no reason.
Yep. Because, like, it seems like his son tries to imply that some line of humanity was severed back in the day, but it's like, he was fighting for the Confederacy.
So was Jonah Hex.
Yeah, but they have a line.
And I'm like, you can't just do that.
I know.
He's like, I don't see color. He's pretty much like, I don't see color.
To the only black character in the movie, played by our boy who passed away.
Oh.
Did you not hear? No. Lance Reddick died this week.
Oh.
Yeah. Right before, because John Wick 4 is coming out. Keanu Reeves.
Shit.
It's not. Yeah. It was just like, he was like 60.
Yeah.
Lance Reddick's great. And like most of the stuff I've seen, I was reading a bunch of stuff about, we're not talking about Jonah Hex, we're talking about Destiny now.
Well, it's related. Somewhat.
But he voices one of like the main like characters in Destiny. And a lot of the people that were big names just don't do Destiny anymore, like, because they're like, I'm not really interested in continually voicing a video game character. But Lance Reddick would come back for each expansion to the point that apparently during the pandemic, he was just like recording in his like closet to voice lines and stuff. And like Destiny players over the past like weeks have just been like sitting around his character. I'm like, sweet. It's like, well, maybe not all gamers are cringe.
Not all of them. Most of them.
Thomas is okay, I guess.
I'm not much of a gamer. I play shitty indie horror games and...
You play Red Dead.
And Red Dead Redemption.
Back to Jonah Hex. I think there's a lot of potential in here. There's a lot of big names.
Yeah.
They don't really do anything.
Yeah. I think that they should, now in the new DC verse, just not even really tie it to the other movies, but should do one more Jonah Hex movie and try not to make it a fucking mess. But... yeah, this one...
kind of ballsy to make a Western, even if it's a comic Western, in 2011. Or whatever, 2010, I think is what.
Yeah, something
like that's... Westerns were not doing well.
Yeah, but there was a couple of... because there was that other one that came out around this time.
Assassination of...
No, it was like the man with the iron something. It's a very...
The RZA movie?
Is that a RZA movie? I mean, I wouldn't put it... I know, like, fucking RZA's into that kind of shit, but... fucking...
We talking about Man with the Iron Fists?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's RZA, baby.
Oh. Huh.
He directed that movie.
Interesting.
Then he's the main character.
But is that... that's like feudal China.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of.
Oh, what are you thinking of?
The man... Western action. The man. The Iron Mask. No, wait. I don't know. It's an older one. I swear it. Maybe I'm just having a Mandela effect moment. I swear there was a different movie that came out like right around the same time. Maybe it was The Man with the Iron Fists, and I was just getting it mixed up based off the trailers. I don't know. The Man with the is it the Iron? Golden Gun? No, that's old. I don't know. Anyway. I might investigate that later, but nothing's popping up, so maybe I'm just crazy.
Ooh, Thomas is crazy.
I gotta sell all these mattresses right now! But, it's my idea of a crazy person. Anyway.
To work at a mattress store.
Yes. Anyway. Fucking Jonah... I almost said Jonah Hill. Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hill could play Jonah Hex.
He could.
Who would you want to play Jonah Hex? You know what? Just bring back Josh Brolin.
Yeah, I think Josh Brolin could still do it. Like,
Josh Brolin isn't that much older. It's only 13 years ago. And he's kind of like an old, dead cowboy, so it's not like...
Yeah.
Bring back John Malkovich while we're at it.
Yeah.
Just redo this movie. They got some good ideas and some good casting, and they just kind of just squandered by it. And it seems like it's studio interference. Like, it seems like they came in and they cut this movie down. It should not be 75 minutes long without its credits.
No, it feels like this movie was probably maybe a 2-hour, but...
It seems like there's like half an hour, 40 minutes missing.
Yeah, there are some sequences where it just goes into something.
He talks to Megan Fox's character like once.
Yes.
And then she's like, oh, but she's like the crux that he has to rescue her. Or kind of, not really, but then...
Yeah.
She just doesn't feel like she should even be in the movie, really.
No, yeah,
Like, what does she do? And it seems like they maybe want her to be more of a part, but she's not.
Yeah, it's... The part that really sells that idea home is the fact that, like, you get this kind of wrap-up sequence where it's like, oh, you know, I'm like he's walking away after getting the government, they're like, you can have it, you can be the sheriff of America. He's like, that's not how that works, sir. But if you need help, just call me or something. And he leaves, and she's like, did you get the job? Did you take it? And he's like, no. And it seems like that's going to be like the walk away into the sunset moment. But then he has a different right away into the sunset moment where he goes and like visits his family's grave or Jeb's grave. I think it's Jeb's grave. Yeah. Which is really weird.
There's also an interesting thing where it's like he really does, like, that was his best friend. Yeah, but they don't really explore that.
Yeah, I wish they had fleshed that out more.
If only this movie wasn't 75 minutes long.
Yeah. But, yeah. So, I don't know. I think Jonah Hex is a really interesting concept that you could do probably a solid trilogy out of, but...
But we didn't get that. Instead, we got a bad movie.
Yeah, we got one bad movie.
It's watchable.
Yeah.
It's better than probably half of Marvel movies. At least more watchable.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably say
half of MCU movies.
Yeah, if you're just talking about solely MCU, I would probably agree with that. I mean, obviously, when you include the bigger Marvel verse, you have a couple extra heavy hitters in there, like the Spider-Man trilogy, and
which is the best superhero movies of all time.
A few of the X-Men movies.
X2.
Honestly, I'd say like I think I like more X-Men movies than I dislike.
Yeah, I mean, I think
there's only
X1's good. I think X2's great. Mm-hmm. I think X3 is like overhated. I don't think it's terrible. I think people like really dislike it.
I can see. I think it's
messy.
I think it was like the first of its kind in a certain sense.
But I think it's overall fun enough.
Yeah, like by today's standards, it's not like the worst, but like, I think it is like a bad cap to that trilogy.
That's fair. I think First Class is good.
Yeah.
I think Days of Future Past is great.
Yep.
Apocalypse is bad.
Yep.
Dark Phoenix is very bad.
Yep.
New Mutants is very, very bad.
Yep. The first Wolverine movie
is... I don't think it's it's that bad.
Yeah,
I would
I'd
probably put
like,
it around Jonah Hex's level.
Yeah, I think with your sentiment of 3 where it's like it's overhated, but I can see why, but yeah.
Like, I also think that one's bad, but like, and I always argue this, I say it every time it's brought up, I think that opening sequence and the opening credits were like going through different wars, growing up together, I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then I really like the Wolverine as Logan.
Underrated as fuck. I think that movie's awesome.
Yeah. I rewatched Logan recently, but when I watched them back to back, I remember thinking I might have liked the Wolverine just a smidge more than I liked Logan.
I still like Logan more, but I think the Wolverine has my second favorite train scene. The train scene is so good.
Yeah.
I think I like the train scene in Spider-Man 2 more, because that's like the train scene.
Yes.
But that train scene in the Wolverine is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the third act suffers a little bit, but it's still fun.
Yeah, it's got the big robot problem, but I mean, yeah, it's still fine. It's a decent enough execution of it.
But yeah, I think most of X-Men's pretty good.
Yeah. Now back to Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex, overall, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, it's I don't think most of you out there would like it, but some of you would find it okay.
Yeah. Pierre, you'd love it.
I feel like Pierre, I going into this episode, I was like, I would not have been surprised if you would watch this with Pierre. It seemed like the kind of movie.
I watched it.
Well, I was originally going to ask if you wanted to, but then I was just like dying.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, this is the kind of movie where it's like, Pierre, we're covering Jonah Hex on the podcast.
I'm on the way.
What?
He just like breaks through the window.
Yeah, right. But yeah, Jonah Hex. Okay. What are we watching?
So we decided to give Pierre a pick. Because he's our friend. So he gave us 4 movies to pick from. And if you don't like any of those picks, then I can scrounge around in there and find his 2 bag picks instead.
Isn't one of his bag picks an entire season?
I don't think that's actually true.
Okay, I was going to say...
He says he doesn't remember what it was.
That's fair.
So...
I was going to say, no more whole seasons in the bag.
Warcraft, Wendy Wu Homecoming Hero, 9 Lives, which I would prefer not to watch because it's a Kevin Spacey movie.
I remember it.
And Freaky Friday, but the 2018 version.
2018?
Yeah, it was the Disney Channel original movie.
So I have to pick 2?
You have to pick 2 of those 4, or we can pick the 2 in the bag if you want a little more spice. If you want a little more bag.
Alright. Well, I'll pick one of those.
Okay.
And you can
just pick the other one?
Yeah. So I'm going to go for Wendy Wu.
See, like, thematically, it'd probably be better to pick Freaky Friday because they're both, like, Disney Channel movies. But I'm going to pick Warcraft.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
They're both about honor.
I don't know what Wendy Wu is about.
I don't know what Warcraft's about.
It's about fucking
Brenda Song.
Brenda Song.
Yeah.
She plays Wendy Wu, who is the homecoming queen, and she's also a kung fu warrior, from what I remember.
Well, yeah, I remember that. I know that much, but I don't know.
I never watched it, so I don't know.
Me neither.
So we're gonna find out. I remember people my age really liked it, so hopefully it's good.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna watch those. All right. Goodbye.